How many of you have ever asked someone to repeat what they just said? Have you ever had to ask them more than one time? What about a third time? What happens then? Do you get a little frustrated?
On both sides.
On both sides, exactly. In 2009, we actually did research, and that was one of our questions. How many times would you ask someone to repeat what you said? And pretty much after 2 times, people were getting a little frustrated. What about your communication skills? Are people asking you to repeat what you just said? Our goal tonight is for you to learn the skills so that you can always communicate with clarity, confidence, and credibility. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm Jayne Latz, founder and president of Corporate Speech Solutions, and our goal, our mission, is to give you the skills, provide you with the training so that you can always communicate with greater clarity, confidence, and credibility. So a few of you echoed the issue of power. Timothy Cagle says in his book, The Exceptional Presenter, that people with strong, powerful voices exude self-confidence. So here's an example. You tell me what you see as the difference. Today is September 15th, and we are in New York City. Today is September 15th, and we are in New York City. Same words, same content. What did you notice? George?
A smile, for one.
Can't get rid of that one.
And more volume in your voice.
And with that volume, what did you feel? What did I exude? Right. And this is what almost we're all here for. Some way, shape, or form, you all mentioned confidence. When I created this company, the thought of the word confidence was not in any of my taglines. My tagline is, we help you say it better. But day after day, I would get the phone call from different individuals, and somewhere in that conversation, confidence came up. We're going to talk today about the skills, technical skills. You're going to walk away with actual techniques that you can practice, and when you practice them, you can walk into any meeting and exude confidence even when you're not feeling it. I can't always say to you, you're going to be 100% confident when you're surrounded by the CEOs, the CFOs, whoever's in the meeting with you. But I can give you the skills so that you can at least exude the confidence. And the number one is the power in your voice. For those of you who don't know, my background is as a speech-language pathologist. So I'm not going to teach you anything that is not safe for your voice. It's all about vocal projection, not screaming. I often speak to groups that go 50 deep, 75 deep, and I often forget to turn on my microphone. And I say, can you hear me okay in the back? And they always say yes. And I never get laryngitis, and I never get a sore throat. So I'm going to teach you how to do that. Because there's 2 things. One, people don't recognize when they're speaking in a soft voice. And that's one of the beauties that some of you have seen when you work one-on-one, and I use my audio feedback because you think you're speaking in a strong voice until I show you, no, this isn't even moving. You flatline. Some of you have experienced that with me. And then when we use vocal projection, you see all of a sudden the wave is much bigger. So it all starts with the diaphragm. This is the part I hate. I'm always pointing to my belly in the middle of a presentation. But it all starts with our belly. This is our power source. How do we make sound? We bring the power up and it moves our vocal cords. It does not come from our neck. If you see the veins popping out, then you are not projecting the breath adequately. So right now I want you all to just sit up tall, take a breath, and I want you to inhale through your nose and exhale. And we're going to do that again. You're going to inhale for the count of 3 through your nose and exhale for the count of 5. Now a little trick is, don't you all feel a little more relaxed? So you're going into that big meeting and you think about how nervous you are. You've already just started on step 1 of relaxation. Just breathe. Now I'm going to show you how to use that breath for power. Everything I do, I'm going to demonstrate and then you'll do after me. So the first step is I'm going to take a breath in and I'm going to count to 10 on that exhalation. Don't think too much. So we're going to breathe in, and instead of, we're using that breath to speak on. It's like gas. You go into the gas station, you put the fuel in, and that's what you can drive away on. So watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now you're all going to do that together. Take a nice breath, sit up tall. 1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Good. Some of you had more energy. That's great. Because now we're going to go to 20. I'll do it first and then you'll all do it. I'm skipping right over 15 because you all sounded strong. It goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. You all ready? And by the way, that's why I told you all to bring water. The second thing, besides for powering up from the diaphragm, is water. Any one of you that ever speak, go into the public speaking arena, bring your water with you. 2 reasons. 1, because you never know when your voice is going to get the anxiety and you're going to just and that's going to cause more anxiety. And 2, someone's going to ask you a question and you're not sure of the answer. That's a great question. So it really helps you to pause and think. I'm going to take a breath and I'm going to hold the sound ah for as long as I can, like this. You're going to do even better. So this is where it's a little fun. You've already been sitting for a while, so I want you all, don't jump up yet, you're all going to stand up and you're going to take a breath when I say start. You're all going to say ah and hold it for as long as you can, but please, anyone CPR trained here? Don't be, fabulous. 3. All right, so go for as long as you can. This is a record. I never had 3 people. Excellent, so push it. So I want you to hold for as long as you can. Get out the rust, dust off those skills. And as soon as you are done, you're going to sit down. Everyone who stayed standing, and I said enough, if you feel like people have to ask you to repeat because you're soft-spoken, what that means is you have the breath support, you're just not using it in the right way. You have the breath support. The last men standing, men and women, you have it. Some of the other people that sat down a little sooner, you could do this so easily at home. Our smartphones all have stopwatches. I would like all of you minimum to be able to sustain for at least about 18 seconds. I say 18 to 24. Some of you went way further. challenge yourself. Start, test it, and then the next day go a little further and a little further. These exercises that we've gone through are proven to naturally develop the power in your voice. And remember, that power is going to command the attention of anyone that you're speaking to. Okay? A lot of you spoke about clarity. This really, for some of you, you may know that Corporate Speech Solutions, one of the signature programs, is working with accent reduction for non-native English speakers. And every 3 rounds of this workshop, I do accent reduction. When I started it, it was accent reduction for non-native English speakers. And then from the very first time, I had some New Yorkers call up, 2 that worked together, and they said, can I come to accent reduction? And I said, I quickly kind of went through my head, and I said, actually you can. When I planned the program, I planned it for non-native English speakers. But I went through 4 out of the 5 exercises that we do in that program, and New Yorkers and native English speakers all have the same issues. I say that for all the non-native English speakers, because it's so much fun when you come to that workshop and there are New Yorkers, because you realize they have some of the same issues that you have. And again, it all just goes to confidence. What I've learned is people that are clear and articulate and speak English as a second language just don't necessarily have the confidence, but you might be as clear and articulate as some of the native New Yorkers who just speak too fast, mumble, and are unclear. So again, we're going to give you techniques today that, whether you're born here or not, will increase the clarity of your speech if you practice it. One very common error or problem that is shared by many is we tend to swallow the ends of our words. And there are so many words in English that differ just in that last sound. So if you're swallowing the end of your words, the listener has to then think which word fits into that sentence. And while they're playing back what you just said to figure out what word fits in, what happens to the communication? What am I still doing while you're playing back what I just said? I'm still speaking. So now you've missed what I just said. And this happens every single day. So here's just a few examples of words in English that we use all the time that differ just in the last sound. Bad, bat. Rise, rice. Can, cab. Sad, sat. Wig, wick. Mad, mat. That's how you want to make sure you finish all your words, but we so often don't. So one of the best ways to practice is by numbers. Simple, elementary numbers. How many of you receive voicemail messages and someone leaves their number, and you can't call back because you have no idea what the number is? My message says, leave your number 2 times. I can't tell you how many times the first time I hear the number, I say, I have no idea what the number is. And then the second time, they say it clear, and I say, thank goodness I can call back. Or I get an email inquiry, so I have the email, and they call, and I go to call back, and I have no idea what the number is, and then I have to refer to the email, and I say, I'm so sorry, I didn't get the number. So as elementary as this sounds, it is so important. Here's an example. In the New York metropolitan area, 646 is a common exchange. How often do we hear 646? 917 becomes 917. And maybe you don't identify that, but every single day, 9 becomes 9, 7 becomes 7. People just swallow it all. They're in a rush. How about those in finance? We have so many clients in the financial industry, but then again, aren't we all in the financial industry? Because whatever we're doing, we have to collect money, we have to pay bills. And what about the difference between 30 and 13, 50 and 15? You don't think about it, but this is where so many errors occur. So I underlined some of the sounds that are so often swallowed. And again, I'm going to model it and then we'll continue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Seems so simple. Next, we talked about finishing the ends of words. Here's another area that so many people are guilty about. A lot of people see what we call multisyllabic words. Let's say stabilization. And what do? We see this word, we're tired, we don't feel like saying it, so we say stabilization. We just take the end of the word and we swallow it. A perfect example is, how many syllables are in the word governor?
3.
Perfect. Yet, how often do we hear the word governor? Governor. It's become a way of life. Governor. What did we do? We just chopped out a syllable. What about probably? How many syllables?
3.
3. How often do we hear probably? All the time. Telephone. How many syllables? 3. Telephone or phone. I give you those examples because if I say telephone, if I say probably, if I say governor, you know exactly what I'm speaking about. But everyone has industry-specific terminology that the listener doesn't always know. Clients, prospects, associates. And if we swallow an entire syllable, what's going to happen to the communication? So it's what I want you to think about and practice. Take out the newspaper tomorrow if you have a hard copy, because especially the New York Times, there's so many multisyllabic words. And just practice saying all the syllables. It's not going to be natural sounding. Nothing about what I'm saying will be natural sounding in the beginning. It takes practice until it's natural. One of my favorite examples is Dancing with the Stars. Does anyone here not have any idea what Dancing with the Stars is? Okay, there's always one. Dancing with the Stars is one of these reality shows on TV where they take a professional dancer and they pair that dancer with a star. I always like to use the example of a football player. So you've got this professional dancer and a football player who knows nothing about dancing. And over the course of 8 weeks, they're going to spend morning, noon, and night together. And then they're going to go on national TV and dance the most gorgeous samba or salsa or rumba that you've ever seen. Now, how do they get there? Because they do tedious drills, and we get to kind of see that in the back room. So they might spend hours just doing left, right, and then when they've mastered left, right, they could do left, right, left. Now, all of us, or many of us, might have taken dancing, especially if you get married. You always go for dance lessons, you know, right before, and then you never take them again. And remember, when we sit there and we go, 1, 2, 1, 2, and we're all counting in our heads. But once you practice it enough, you never have to do that again. And it just becomes natural. That's what I want you to think about when you are doing these tedious drills. I own it. They're tedious. They're not exciting. But they're the building blocks to get to the salsa. They're the building blocks to get to strong, confident communication. Now we're going to go into one of my favorite areas, and I like to demonstrate because I think that that's the best way that we learn. So I'm going to say one of my favorite quotes, and I'm going to say it two ways. First, I'm going to say it the way many of you may think is familiar sounding, and then I'm going to add some magic, and I want you to tell me the difference. Winston Churchill once said the three most difficult things a man can do is to climb a building leaning towards him, kiss a woman leaning away from him, and deliver a public speech. Winston Churchill once said the three most difficult things a man can do is to climb a building leaning towards him, kiss a woman leaning away from him, and deliver a public speech. There's one other thing. I love this one particular paragraph or quote from Winston Churchill. It's so alive and it's so visual. So what about the visualization in the first and the second? Does it come alive a little bit more? I say this all the time, and I kind of watch the building lean. I watch the woman lean. It makes me smile. So think about your message. Those that are in social media, it's such a visual, it's something you want to come alive. People that are in business, you want your message to have an impact. What better way than using strategic pausing? Again, remember about the dance steps. We have to practice those dance steps before it gets fluid and natural. So the way that we do this is, and we're going to practice a little, is it's, again, not very difficult to get the concept. It's the practice, just like those dance steps. So we use just simply 1, 2, and 3 markers. 1, we break up a phrase or a sentence where you might have a comma, or you might want to list items or have an impact. 2 is a little bit more dramatic. And here's the one that is so difficult for so many people. At a period, you always want 1, 2, 3. When we're reading a book or a newspaper and we finish a really complex sentence and there's a period, we have the luxury of doing what if it's long and complex?
Reading it again.
Exactly. Who's ever had to read a sentence over again? And again, and again. It's visual. You can read it again. But when we're speaking, again, it kind of goes back to how many times are you going to ask someone to repeat what they just said? You can't constantly, if you have a long, complex sentence, someone's not going to say, can you repeat that again? Can you repeat that again? So a way to be clear in your delivery is using the pausing. And then when you get to the period, 1, 2, 3. It's magic. Think again, long past after tonight, about the way I said the Winston Churchill quote the first time and the second time. How do you want to present yourself in whatever you are presenting? You want your words to jump out. I always say, I don't know about you, when I used to study in college long, long ago, I used to use highlighters because I needed the words to jump out. When we're speaking, we can't use a highlighter. We can't say, this is what I'm saying. The way we highlight is with our tone, the vocal variety, and the pausing. And that's how the words jump out. We're going to do a few of these for practice, but I'm going to pause there for a minute just because this is such great research that, again, some of you have heard. In April 2013, Corporate Speech Solutions was featured in the Wall Street Journal, which was very exciting. The article is on the website, of course, for anyone who wants to read it, and it's a great article, so I do encourage you. It was about, is this the way you really talk, or is this the way you really speak? And it was really fantastic about how to change the way we speak. everything from, if there's an accent, New York or otherwise, to the person who's monotone, the person who asks questions at the end of every statement. And what was beautiful about that article, based on research that was done by a company called Quantified Impressions, they revealed that how we say something matters twice as much as what we say. How we say something matters twice as much as what you say. Why do I say that? We have presentations to do. We go out, we have to present to a client or a company, and we worry so much about, should I use this word or should I use that word? How should I phrase this? But remember, it's how you deliver what you're saying that's going to have the largest impact. Obviously, you want the content. I'm not taking away from the content, but it's how you say it. In that article, I love this part, in the article, in print, I don't think it was online, in print on the sidebar, so it wasn't the article that I was featured in, it was the sidebar. There was research out of Duke University, and it actually talked about the tone of a man's voice and what that vocal tone is in frequency and what it equates to in dollars, annual salary. This was research in Duke University. So again, it goes to power and tone. That was for the male CEO. I have the article. If anyone wants it, I can send it to you. For women, it was not the same. It was about vocal variety. So that brings us back to how important the strategic pausing is so that we have good vocal variety in the delivery of our message. Once you have someone's attention, then if I have to think about what I'm going to say next, I already have your attention. So it's okay. Does that make sense? So you're in a meeting and you've got the 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 down pat, but now you forgot where you were going and you needed a minute to kind of bring yourself back. Occasionally, do we ever hear someone say, and why do we say it? Because we want to just keep talking and we don't really know what we're going to say, so we just throw an in there, and sometimes there are a little too many. The barometer we use at Corporate Speech Solutions is 2 in 2 minutes. So what you're going to do tomorrow, thanks for triggering that, what you're going to do tomorrow is when you have a conversation, you're going to take out your audio recorder and you're going to record a minute or 2, and then you're going to play it back and listen to like, you know, so, actually. Any word that's not content rich and is not adding is a filler word, and you do not want more than 2 in 2 minutes. When I first started my business, I went to a breakfast meeting, a panel discussion, and there were 3 people on the panel, and the third person to speak was probably about 30, in human resources for a company, so attractive, had a smile that could light up the entire city, was clear and articulate, and every other word was And I have no idea what she said. And when she finished, I turned to the person next to me, because it was one of those breakfast meetings, so we had all chatted, and I said, did she use too many filler words, or am I just a little nuts? She said, too many. She said, I couldn't pay attention to a word she was saying. And that's why that barometer of 2 in 2 minutes will never steer you wrong. I say 2 in 2 minutes because we're human. One is going to come out every once in a while. You're allowed, but it's not going to take away from your message if you keep it to 2 in 2 minutes. So I want you to record yourself And as Jeremy said, it's beautiful. The pauses are going to help you control it. It's a 4-step process. I'll just kind of go through it quickly. On my website, just so you know, we have blogs about every topic related to speech and communication. Every topic. We've been blogging for a long time. So if you put in the search bar filler words, you'll get the whole 4-step process. You'll get information. But the 4 steps are: 1, record yourself. 2, notice your pattern. And what does the pattern mean? You either start every sentence, my favorite is, my name is so-and-so. What do you need an before you introduce yourself? Go to your next meeting and listen. People always say, my name is, and then they say their name. So you're going to notice your pattern. Notice if it's all ums or if it's what I call the variety pack. Like, you know, so basically. The 3rd step is the anticipation. You're now aware, you've played it back. Now you begin to anticipate when you're going to use a filler word. And then 4th, it's the power of the pause. Just pause instead of inserting the filler word. Okay? That's the magic of eliminating those annoying, distracting words. There's a phrase I use, especially more recently, about owning your space. And many of you have heard me talk about owning your space. So right now, don't I own this space? It's Jeremy's, but right now, he wouldn't dare come into this. I'm owning this space, right? So yes, you're 100% right. You're not going to interrupt me. But when you're sitting down, there are ways to own your space and command the attention of the conference table. So I'm going to be at the conference right now, and I'm going to do one way and then another way, and let's talk about what we perceive, okay? So Terry, today I want to talk about what we're going to do for the next fiscal quarter. Today, I think that we should address issues related to the fiscal quarter ahead. We talked about the pause, the power, strategic pausing. Numbers, you want a chunk. We talked about that. 212, pause. 308, pause. 7725. Everyone practice your number many, many times until that's perfected. What I don't want you to do is take shortcuts. How many people have ever heard someone say, my number is 917-841-2965? Or my number is 212-308-2900. Now, it's easy on us, right? It's so easy, 2965. But in this world of non-native, we're in a global marketplace. We are never, ever going to have a conversation with more than one person that doesn't have people that don't speak English as a first language. And I'm passionate about communication skills around the globe. So for everyone that speaks English as a second language, when you were learning it, was it just as easy to hear 2900 as 2900? Look at Marissa, she's like, no. So respect the listener, whoever it is around the globe. We're on teleconferences, we're on telephone calls. 2900. So it takes an extra second. No shortcuts. When I first started speaking many years ago, someone said, is it O or 0? And stupidly, at that time, I said, it doesn't matter, just be consistent. But of course it matters. 0 is the only one that's a number. I still hear the O. Right. O is not a number. Now you take O, which if we go around this room is pronounced 10 different ways, and you say 201, now I don't even recognize the O because you're not saying O. I mean, you happen to, yes, but many people don't say O the way my ear would recognize an O, so I don't even recognize it. But if you say 0, we're going to recognize it. So 3087725. Go to the website, get my 15 other tips, but remember the power, the clarity, the pausing. It's all about communicating with clarity, confidence, and credibility. I promised you tonight that I was going to give you tangible skills to walk away with and practice.